Hey everyone, welcome to episode 7 of Tea Time with Mel and Jay. I'm Jay.
I'm Mel.
And we're so excited to be here, but also we have a little personal tea to spill. Little Miss Mel has a new piece of hardware on her finger. She is recently engaged. Tell us a little bit.
Hello. Just got engaged. It was a week on Wednesday. A little crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. Been
So
1
exciting.
week, baby.
When we got your text message, we were like, is this for real? Are you being serious? Because it was so out of nowhere, and Nick didn't even contact me or Stephanie. We were like, how?
I actually said that to him as well, because I was like, does anybody know about this? Like, did you talk to my parents? Did you talk to my friends? Did you talk to my sisters? And he was like, no. He's like, I just kind of decided. He's like, I knew I was going to do it, but I just kind of decided that it was going to happen. So he had asked my dad, but hadn't said
Good
anything.
man.
Yeah, he hadn't
Good
said
man.
anything to anyone else. So yeah, I was like completely shocked.
Oh my
So,
gosh. Well,
yeah.
congratulations. So
Thank
excited.
you. I
Love
know. I
it.
can't wait to
So
celebrate in person.
I know next time, hopefully episode 8, we'll be able to record in person, but
Yes.
let's dive into the dumpster fire of a documentary that we're going to review today. I guess I just gave it away.
Dumpster fire.
Hashtag dumpster fire. So today, Mel and I decided, because it's March, which is Women's History Month, Women's Empowerment Month, like all about the women. We decided to review the documentary on Netflix called Strip Down, Rise Up, all about pole dancing and everything that comes with that. And it's all about women and empowerment. And I mean, do you want to start talking about it? Was a tough watch. It was a really tough watch. I almost backed out of doing the review, but I'm a strong woman.
Yes, you are. You are a strong woman. Go Women's Empowerment Month. I'm just calling it that.
I can't.
I mean, it was to just sum it up. Basically, what the documentary was about was it kind of was about a couple different things. It followed, what was it, 3 different women?
It was like 2 different stories, basically,
right,
of the same type of art, which I love. Like, I grew up dancing, so I appreciate the beautiful artistic resemblance of what they were doing and how much athleticism you need to be able to do what they're doing on those poles. But
I think it was tough because on one hand, you have this storyline that kind of the documentary is based upon, which is this workout or coming back into your sensuality, your feminine body, called the S Factor. And it's basically a pole dancing class that was created to bring women back into their femininity, back into their like sensual bodies. And so it's kind of more than just a pole dancing class. So it's supposed to break the standards of what a pole dancer looks like. You're not a stripper, but you're coming back into your body. So that's one part of the documentary. And it follows this, how many weeks was it? I think it was
6 months.
6 months, right?
Yeah.
I was going to try to do that in weeks and I am not good at math. So it's this 6 months program where these women kind of come in and they learn sensual movement on the pole, off the pole. But then it kind of morphs into a therapy session with no licensed therapists, which was where the documentary started to lose me. And I think you, from our brief conversations about it.
It literally lost me from the opening credits. I was just not into it. But at one point they did bring in a therapist, but then
talk with the staff. Yeah,
to talk with the staff. But then at some point, then they introduce this Amy Bond woman who runs a studio in San Francisco, and it's all about competitive pole dancing.
Yes.
and that aspect of it. And I definitely resonated more with her
story.
whole vibe. So
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I thought that her portion of the documentary was really cool.
yeah.
And I mean, there were some different little highlights of some other pole dancers, how they had found pole dancing. You know, did they compete? Did they do it? There was like the woman who was in Cirque du Soleil
Yep.
who was inspired by the stripper Pantera.
Hmm.
So it's really interesting the way that these women got into pole dancing.
Yeah.
I felt super drawn to Amy's story because here she kind of used pole dancing as this super athletic and
Yep.
empowering, real female athleticism, female empowerment kind of movement, which
Yeah.
was in such a contrast to the S Factor because here I feel like Amy had harnessed what it meant to be an athlete on the pole and
Hmm.
looking at it as this way to help people really connect to your core and
Yeah.
your inner strength. Whereas the S Factor, it kind of felt like a bad acting class.
Yeah.
You know
And
what I
so the
mean?
thing is too, I want the S Factor program when she first started it, and every class throughout the entire 6 months, she referred to it at basically as like, you're empowering, you're taking your femininity back, you're being sensual, you're, able to break through those barriers.
Yeah.
And it seemed like towards the end, like at their graduation, they were able to break through barriers, but the whole process just seemed so inauthentic. It just, I was so not connected to what they were doing. And compared to Amy's studio in San Francisco,
Yeah.
it just was pure. We're dancing and they competed as well. And I just felt like those women really did connect to their femininity, connect to and embrace the athletic aspect of it. But I don't know, it was really hard to follow, especially because they sat down in a circle this first day with in every class after that. They sat down in a circle and basically it seemed like every single woman who was in this program
Yeah.
had trauma, like deep deep trauma, mostly sexual trauma
Yeah.
that was like holding them back. And they joined this class where basically you're wearing no clothes,
Yeah. You're
your
stripping
body,
down to
you're
rise up.
you are literally stripping down.
Yeah.
And it was very animalistic as well.
Yeah. It was
I don't even have the words.
Yeah, it was interesting because I get the idea behind it, right? You
Yeah.
strip away your vulnerability to get completely vulnerable and kind of like an open nerve. So then you
Yeah.
can rebuild and, find your strength and kind of like rise from the ashes.
Hmm.
Where I felt that it was more of, and maybe it's the actress in me that has been in classes like this, dance classes, movement classes,
Yeah.
acting classes, where they're like, there's no way for you to be true and authentic unless you bear it all. And it's like, I understand that idea. And I think there are safe places to work through those things, therapy, but I don't necessarily
Every
think.
single woman needs therapy
Yes.
still.
Yes. And I mean, I think, I just thought that in a way it was taking advantage of these women. And I hope that they didn't feel that way. But from the voyeur's perspective, watching this documentary, I it felt just like you said, super inauthentic. And
Yeah.
like you have, all of these women with these incredibly, it's serious and deep traumas. I mean, you have a woman who's in the class who was one of Larry Nassif's victims or survivors, I should say. And so you're really if you're going to take that on as a program, I think that you really need to be equipped to deal with it. And you have these women that are having breakdowns in the class, and it's kind of like, where's the aftercare after
Yeah.
these intense moments, like you're just supposed to go out into the world.
Well, I think
It's
she's
dangerous.
like Sheila, right? That's her
Yeah.
name, the
Yep,
owner.
Sheila. Yeah.
She just was like, so there was a lot of crying. So around these circles where every class would come in and they would just go deeper and deeper into the trauma that they were feeling. And this woman, Sheila, who is the owner of this studio, the creator of this program,
Yeah.
would just be like, now feel it, now go, like move to the floor. And like these women would just like start rolling around on the floor, like being like really sensual, like rolling
Yeah.
into their neighbors, being really sensual with like the woman next to them. And
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe because we weren't in the group and didn't have that experience, I was really, really, really uncomfortable watching it.
Yeah.
Just because also when when they learn how to do the S walk and it's slow and they have to drag their foot and it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I am so uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable the whole time, and I have no problem. I'm in tune with my sensuality. I'm in tune with my feminine. Like I'm in
You're
tune with.
also in your body too, being, an athlete yourself, being a dancer yourself, like you are very bodily conscious, so
Yeah,
it's not like you haven't been in a lyrical class or a modern class where, you're in your body and you're
yeah,
moving sensually. Like, you have been in that experience. I have been in that experience. And to your point, I just felt that, like, it was a moment or a class that should not be filmed, because I think
yeah,
it's very difficult to be authentic like that in front of some Netflix cameras.
yeah,
And I'm sure that these people, I mean, from most of the testimonies, people were like, wow, this changed my life. So it's like, we can't negate that in some way, shape, or form, it has helped people in their lives.
yeah.
But for me, I was so much more interested in the competition aspect,
Hmm.
the real embodiment of strength, which was Amy.
Hmm.
You kind of learn about her past, how she had, she kind of changed her entire life.
She
And
did.
I thought, wow, what a cool thing it would have been to just have it be her story, you know?
Yeah,
To
yeah.
really see, like, what it took to open these studios, see an in-depth look. When she's competing, we got little, like, tidbits here and there,
Hmm.
but her story, I felt to be so much more relatable than the S Factor.
100%. And so, what I thought was what stuck out to me, there was one woman so at the first class, I keep getting brought back to this first class of S Factor when they're sitting around in a circle, which they did. I know I just said this, which they did every single time they sat down and talked through traumas
Yeah,
that keep
every time.
erupting.
They're like, "What is your biggest childhood trauma?
Yeah.
Let's talk
Like,
about it
let's
right
talk about
now,
all of it.
and then swing
So,
on the pole."
yeah. Let's just swing around. Oh, cheeks out, whatever. Anyway,
Love it.
so the one woman, when they got
Okay.
around to her, I don't remember, I want to say her name was Amber. Was it Amber? I feel like it was Amber. This one woman, they get around to her and she was like, I'm thinking, what the heck did I get myself into? Like, I don't have a trauma like this. And I just kind of came here to like learn how to pole dance.
Learn how to pole dance.
And
Yeah.
you know what? I was like, girl, I vibe with you on that. How long did she last? I don't even think she lasted 2 months.
Yeah, I think she literally only completed, like, 3 classes or
Yeah.
something
So
like that.
like she did not last because more power to her. She didn't have any deep rooted trauma, which, you know what? Everybody has trauma and everybody has different ways of dealing with it. But like this poor woman just wanted to learn how to pole dance. Like I would take a pole dancing class, but I'm not ready to talk about any sort of trauma that I've had in my life.
Well, it's also tough because, in a lot of those situations, you can feel very ostracized if you're
Mm-hmm.
not willing to, completely bare your soul. And I think it's not taking into account each person where they are at in their life. It's
Yeah.
almost like if you came to that sharing circle and you had nothing to share, or quote unquote nothing,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or you didn't feel comfortable, opening yourself up to a bunch of strangers, which is a completely normal reaction. It
Yeah.
was kind of like, well, you don't want to do the work. You don't want to open yourself up. You don't want to really be in this program. And it's like,
Yeah.
yo, how is that inclusive? How
Yeah.
is that making the experience for everyone? Sheila, she was a little bit problematic for me.
Yeah.
Like, kind of a little bit of a bully, and I know that that's tough calling women bullies.
She
I
is.
thought that she was beautiful and definitely strong and passionate, but I found some of the ways that she communicated with the women in the room, her team,
Yeah.
especially the one woman who with the weight loss
Yes.
goal. What
Yes.
was that conversation? I was like, this is not body empowerment whatsoever.
And I even wanted to bring that up because here you have this woman who is a teacher in this program who is not gone through her own trauma yet. So it's
Mhm.
like, what are you trying to teach these other people? But anyway, back to Sheila. I know I texted you while I was watching this.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, Sheila is kind of like a bully. I saw her as like a cult leader. I saw cult vibes in the S Factor thing because they're in this circle. It's almost like they were chanting to each other. They're rolling around on each other. It
Yeah.
just was very cultish for me. It reminded me of the Nixim documentary
Yes, I
a
was gonna say,
lot.
what was his name? Oh gosh, we just watched it together.
It literally reminded me of that main guy. I don't remember his name either. The main guy from Nixim. It's like you have so much, like she had so much power over these women. And
Yeah.
and like I just like I have goosebumps talking about it because it seems like at the end you see they give updates, but it seems like everybody is, decently okay. And I hope they're
Yeah.
continuing to work on their trauma. But I just thought, whoa, this is a lot to unpack. It's very cultish for me. And they use the word ritual, which I said is a cult word. I understand there's rituals for other things, non-cult related, but in
Right.
my mind, that's like a trigger for like a cult.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I just think it's for me, what my biggest issue is I felt that she had gotten a lot of success with the S Factor.
Yeah.
And so she is a well-known woman, I guess, in LA or with this
Well, she was
program.
an actress too. Remember,
Yep.
she played a stripper, which is how she got
Right.
introduced to this type
To
of
yeah.
dancing.
But I found her to not have, which is tough because you see it in fitness studios, you see it in acting classes where somebody gets a little bit of notoriety or they are really good at this thing, like they are good at pole dancing or they are good at a Pilates class, so they automatically think that they are certified to speak on
Mm-hmm.
it,
Mm-hmm.
teach it. They a lot of times they lack the verbiage of
Mm-hmm.
the way to have these conversations, how to be an actual motivator, how to be a teacher, how to be a leader. And I saw that in particular with the woman who was on her team, who came to her and was like, I'm having this struggle of this weight loss journey, and I found her whole conversation to be completely inappropriate, of
Yeah.
being like, "Yep, you've really let yourself go." It was not tough love.
No.
It was not constructive. And it was like, "Oh, I need you to lose 14 pounds a month." I'm like, I'm no nutritionist. I am no, whatever, but
Yeah.
that does not sound healthy. And I was like, who is this woman to be doling out this, advice? And, not for nothing, if she's sharing this advice or counseling to a team member, what is she saying to these women in the class?
Because they were priding themselves on the fact that it didn't matter. what your body looked
What
like,
you look like, whatever.
bear it all, because
Yep.
it does not matter your body. Every body is perfect, and
Yeah.
you don't need to worry. Obviously, if there's health issues because you're so overweight, like you obviously need to take those into consideration. But the whole point of it was to be like,
Yep.
we're accepting you as you are.
We're inclusive,
Yes,
you're
it just was
beautiful.
very, yeah, like it was very hypocritical in my mind, like the whole
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
So
Like the one girl with the glasses. When she takes the glasses from
she's
the
like,
girl, and
"Yeah,"
the girl's like, "I can't see."
she's like,
And
I
I
literally
was
can't
screaming.
see. And
I
she's
would
like, have you cut your hair ever? And she's like, not in a long time. She's like, cut your hair.
I'm like, "What is this, America's Next Top Model?" Like, let's get it together here. Are we
Oh,
teaching, is this a makeover class? And then I was waiting for her to be like, the girl who she took her glasses, I was waiting for her to come back with like, "I got contacts and I got a boyfriend." And she had her glasses back on. And I'm like, "This girl really can't see. She must really have an eye issue." And I was like, yeah, it was tough because you're like, we accept you and love the way you are, yet you need to change this, and this, and in a kind of sneaky, manipulative way
yeah.
of like, you don't know your body, you don't know your sensuality. And it was kind of being like, you're at fault for it in a way. I don't know. It was, I think for you and I, we had very similar views on Sheila's S Factor class. I will not be taking that class. I would go take
No.
Amy's. I'll go to hers. And I even told my sisters who are in SF, I was like, you guys should go take this class.
I would 100% take that class.
Yeah.
I would love to try a pole dancing class. Do you understand like
Right.
how strong your core needs to be able to do any of that stuff?
I mean, it's incredibly athletic. And if not for nothing, I'm really glad we watched this documentary so we could talk about it and
Yeah.
highlight, you know, because it really is, there is a misconception of pole dancing that it is this slutty, over sexualized thing when in reality it is right up there with gymnastics,
Yep.
figure skating. There is a elegance to it, an
It's
art, a
gorgeous.
strength like that you can't even believe. I mean, you see these women's bodies, they are rock solid, just
Yeah.
gorgeous.
It's just,
So, yeah.
yeah, it's definitely dancing. I consider a sport. I danced my whole life, and I know you're a dancer as well. So dancing is a sport. So therefore, pole dancing is a sport, which is why we're doing this documentary.
Yeah.
But the documentary didn't highlight that aspect of it. It was basically just women crying on a dance floor. And how about towards the end when when Sheila brought in those three random men to
Oh,
watch them pole dance, and then they just would hug everybody. I was so uncomfortable, not because of the hugging, because like who hugs anymore because of COVID. Ugh.
yeah.
But just
True.
like these women who have like hardly no clothes on, they're crying. And when you cry, when you like really ugly cry, you like
Yeah.
sweat a little. So they're crying and sweating. Then they have these men that they don't even know that are hugging them. I'm just like,
But it
what
is,
is
it's a real, that is a real therapy, what's it called? A therapeutic tool where if somebody has unresolved male trauma, father trauma, whatever, and because I looked this up because I was like, what is happening? Like,
yeah.
I
Oh my
do not
gosh.
understand. They'll bring in, which I've never had this experience, nor know anybody who has had this experience. They will
Same.
bring in like a neutral male figure. And this male or woman, who is in therapy will have the moment to get their aggressions out, verbalize conversations that are kind of like rehearsed with the therapist beforehand. So it can be a healing moment for somebody, but also super triggering to have, especially if you are a woman who is a survivor of sexual assault, to be thrust into this environment where there are these three men, and I don't even think they knew that that was what the case was. So here these women are coming in, and like, it's a big deal
Yeah.
to be dealing with those types of traumas, which, it really kind of, at the end of the documentary, everything becomes about sexual assault trauma. And it's like, cool, where's the trigger warning? Like a reiteration of a trigger warning. What's happening here? This is not the right dialogue. This is not the right way
Yeah.
to portray this, at least in my eyes.
Agreed.
But
I agree.
you're putting these women into this room with these guys, and I don't think they were prepared for that. You could really send somebody into like a full-blown panic attack,
Yeah.
spiral, whatever. And I thought that was ridiculous.
She was like, okay, when you're ready, I'll release you. And then you walk in and she goes, walk in. And then there's 3 random guys. They knew the guys were going to be there once she said, there's men. Now go walk in and just start moving. Like that. It was a lot. I was really, really uncomfortable. But I think we covered all the major aspects.
Yeah. I mean,
but honestly, I have a serious question. I have a serious question for you.
Okay.
Like, what would your shoes look like?
Great question. I'm obsessed. I honestly think that I would have what were they? The heel heights? It was
like
12
7 inches?
Or was it 7?
Did you just say 12?
I thought it was like there was like one girl that had 12-inch shoes. Maybe not.
Maybe with the platform on the bottom.
Yes, the
and
ones
plus the 7 up here.
Yes.
Oh my God.
I would definitely have like obsessed with the clear shoes, but like a rose gold, like a clear rose shoe.
Okay.
What about you?
So first of all, I would immediately fall over.
Okay, absolutely. How none of them broke their ankles or sprained an ankle, broke their face. I don't understand.
Fell.
Yeah,
like just actually just fell.
Yeah.
So I think mine would look like the girl Megan who was the Larry Nassar victim.
Yep.
She had shoes that were like not as high on the leg and they were almost like black boots. They had lacing and it was a closed toe.
Oh, yeah, so like a step booty.
It was like yeah. I would totally have that, a closed toe with like laces and like short. It didn't go to her knee. It didn't have any strings up her leg.
Yeah.
It just was a simple black. That's what I would have.
I'm obsessed. That sounds great. Yeah. I mean, I thought that was cool, getting people out of their comfort zone in that way. But
yeah,
unfortunately for me, I think Strip Down, Rise Up only made it about a 50% yay and a 50% nay, maybe even less. It just was really tough for me, it was really tough to follow. It was a little chaotic. And yeah, I wish that it had really focused more on the athleticism, making you feel empowered.
Yeah.
That were sprinkled in there. The competitions I thought were really interesting. Less about exploiting women for their trauma.
Exactly. I think you said it perfectly. So that being said, how many champagne flutes would you give this documentary?
What do we do out of 5? I would give it, I don't think I would give it a 1 because I wasn't like completely miserable the whole time watching it. I did find some moments to be like exciting to watch. So I would probably give it 2.
I would give it literally like a 0.5.
You'd give it just like a glass, no Prosecco in it at all.
Honestly, I had to watch it in 2 different sittings. Like I couldn't sit and watch the whole thing. I just did not enjoy it.
Yeah.
I enjoy the message that it's trying to get across. I don't think it did a good job getting that message across.
Right. I agree. I agree. Missed the mark for us.
It missed the mark. I would say don't even waste your time watching it. Just like go tell a woman that you love her and she's amazing. Like don't even waste
a pole dancing class.
Yeah, go take a pole dancing class. Don't talk about your trauma. Just learn how to twist, learn how to climb. Everything's going to be great.
Get it now.
So now here we are. I want to introduce my virtual guest.
Okay.
I'm going to introduce Allie Raisman. She's a
Love.
USA Olympic gymnast.
Love.
I think because she also was someone who was abused by Larry Nassar, the USA Gymnastics doctor, who is like in prison for 175 years. And I don't know, he might even be getting the death penalty or got it. I can't remember what happened in his case, but whatever. I hope he rots in
I know.
there wherever he is.
Jail.
He's going to rot forever.
Yeah.
I just think that, so her going through the same type of trauma as one of the women in this documentary, I think she would commend her fellow gymnast and anybody else who is brave enough to come into a circle and discuss things of this nature, because as if you haven't been through something like that, you cannot judge how somebody deals with it.
Yeah.
So I think she would be on board with this documentary. I think she would think that like more people should watch it because of how deep rooted some people's trauma is. So I think she would be on board with it.
Yeah.
And that's what I have to say.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're spot on.
Yeah.
And then I'll bring in my guest,
Okay.
who is the newbie Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. New franchise, absolutely loved it. But one of the women, Whitney Rose, pole danced multiple times during the season.
Love it.
And had a pole in her house.
Like, oh yeah, that's right.
Had her vow renewal. Yeah.
Yes.
And so she loved it. And everyone was like, oh my God, like you're so good at this. And she's like, yeah, it's just fun. I think if she were to watch this, she'd be like, you all need to get yourself a real therapist, not Sheila. And you need to enjoy pole dancing with a shot of tequila, because it does not need to be this deep. It just doesn't need to be this deep. I think she'd be like, I'm all for women's empowerment and, you know, getting in our feminine body and celebrating the feminine body, but let's just have a shot of tequila and relax about it and like, let it be fun, because it can just be like a fun thing to do with your friends, you know?
Totally.
She'd be like, chill out.
And like, go get a therapist.
Yes. Everybody get a therapist.
Everybody needs a therapist. I mean,
a therapist.
I'm a big proponent of therapy, and I know you are too. So I think if you take anything away from episode 7 of Tea Time with Mel and Jay, go get a therapist.
Get a therapist. Especially men, you all need a therapist.
Men especially need a therapist.
Yes.
Well, it looks like we did it again.
We did it again. Another Tea Time with Mel and Jay.
This one was less funny, but I think we, made it a little fun.
I'm glad we talked about it. I'm glad we didn't choose something different. It's current. It's, a huge athletic feat to be a pole dancer, to be a stripper. I don't know if the right terminology is dancer. But kudos to you. I am jealous of your abs. I am jealous of your leg strength. And you bet the second that we're able to go take a class somewhere, I'm dragging you to a pole dancing class.
Oh, you don't need to drag me. I'll be by your side, girl. I'm ready to go take a class.
I know. Let's do it.
All right. We'll see you guys next time for episode 8 of Tea Time with Mel and Jay.
See you next time. Bye.